Okay, now I turn to Dr. Rajiv Kumar. It's always the economy stupid that provides substance to bilateral relations. The announcement or the pledge of $4 billion in investment credit for SMEs, Make in USA, and $2 billion for clean energy projects are really a big leap in this direction. The President also expressed interest when he talked to CEO's forum. US interest in railways, roads, ports, airports, broadband connectivity, and other areas. As an economist, what do you think were the major takeaways from this visit? And you can also try to answer if time permit other questions. You are not able to sign the investment treaty and totalization agreement. Do you think these are going to happen in the near future?
Thank you, Suren. Thanks a lot, and thanks for being here. I actually missed out on the hype and the euphoria because I was away at that during just that time. I was in Jakarta, so it actually gave me a very good long-distance view, and so therefore one can say that also time to think and what's going on. And I think, in my view, this was a visit which was marked by, and I must follow our Prime Minister Modi in trying to alliterate what I say, was marked by pragmatism, potential, and the need for prioritization. I think that's the way I would put it. Pragmatism, because I think this visit and the communique that I read afterwards and all that I've seen, it's a wonderful balance between being strategic and being transactional. The Indians have always sort of tried to sort of really look down upon transactional relationships are not for them. We are for the high politics, etc. But we know also that without the transactions going forward, without deals being made, you don't achieve the high politics, high strategic relationship, etc. And I think the 53 or the 59 paragraph that I have read, and the other two documents, the Delhi Declaration, have a very good balance between the transactions versus the strategic. And I think that's the hallmark for this. And I said, and people have talked about grand gestures and also grand expectations. And I think this is where the lot of follow-up work needs to be done. So when I talk about pragmatism, I sort of say that the way the two leaders handled the nuclear deal, hanging fire for such a long time, nothing being moved forward. As I think one of the speakers said, take it out of the political realm, put it into the realm of the insurance companies and the lawyers, etc., so that it can so we can make an advance. Potential. When I counted the paragraphs and I read through them, there are more than 30 references to specific working groups, contact points, etc., that have been mentioned. And my God, the pace of things that has after the September visit to now. It's been amazing, the number of meetings that have been held and between the groups, and ranging from all kinds. I mean, it's climate, high technology group, it's economic, strategic partnership, and I've got a whole list here. I want to sort of spend time there. But I think the point really is that for the first time, in my view at least, we've got now so many contacts point between India and US that we are beginning to develop a relationship which is complex, which is sort of multi-dimensional, which therefore will not depend on just one or two things, and which give therefore the sort of canvas that we are now beginning to draw upon can become a very rich canvas, and therefore can create that trust which I think had been missing so far in the two relationships. And I think that's the key, by the way. And therefore, this relationship is also extremely important, because that personal chemistry, that signaling is very important for the investors on both sides, that these two democracies are on the same page and willing to move forward in the same direction. But all of this huge potential needs prioritization, very critical prioritization, because otherwise there's a danger of going all over the place and nothing therefore having nothing being achieved, because even with the energy and even with the sort of the time the Prime Minister seems to display all that, even a person like him and his Prime Minister's office can't possibly follow up with all the initiatives that have been now put on paper here at this point of time. So what should be these priorities? And that is where I will end, I think. And this prioritization, and I've said this before, must be focused on aspects which will build greater trust. So you've got to go for the quick wins, as it were, which are possible. And there you mentioned yourself, Suren, the BIT, the investment treaty, the bilateral investment treaty, which has been going on for now, I think, 6 years. The first time I met the delegation, I was heading ICRIER, and and they'd come, and for some reason has not happened. This is something which should happen as quickly as possible. It is well within our grasp. There are some very technical issues which have been left to solve. I think that's the first one. The second one would be the clean energy and renewable sector potential. That's a huge win-win, where both these leaders are committed to this. This 100,000 megawatts of solar power capacity is a massive thing, and I know from Gujarat experience that Prime Minister Modi is committed to that, so is President Obama. So I think that's also a frontline technology that we can develop. It's got global implications. It's got implications for our Paris conference coming up, because if we do make progress on this, there is a greater chance of people coming together. And the third one is, of course, this means I have 1 minute, or is it over? It's over. So the nuclear deal is the first one. And the last one, and then I'll end, is this wonderful para 47 for me, which talks about connectivity and India, US working together for improving connectivity in South Asia and Southeast Asia. Because I'm a man who's been pursuing regional cooperation for a very long time, and I take great heart in the US recognizing India's role in improving connectivity, which is the basis for any regional economic cooperation that we can achieve between South Asia and within South Asia, and between South Asia and Central Asia on the one hand, and South Asia and Southeast Asia on the other. And these are mentioned in that paragraph 47. So I think overall, I am hugely positive, and I think we made a great start here. But the need for focused follow-up is now uppermost as we go forward. Thanks.